Today, I'm trying out a challenge never before seen. I'm gonna try to beat Minecraft Hardcore while looking straight down the entire time. I am using a mod that allows me to look around to a certain extent, but my character still faces down the entire time. This challenge is by far the most difficult I've ever seen, so please drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Growth has been kinda slow lately, so I'd really appreciate it. Thanks and enjoy the video. After loading into the world, I found myself in a forest, so I mined some dirt and pillared up so that I could chop down some trees from above. From now on, this is how I was gonna have to mine blocks. I saw a plains biome off in the distance, so I picked up some stone from a nearby cave and made my way over to a village. After finding one, I stole a brewing stand because I was gonna need to brew a specific type of potion to make this challenge a lot easier. After ransacking the rest of the village, I went on a killing spree and slaughtered tons of cows, sheep, and pigs because all the jumping I was doing was going to drain my hunger fast. Once I had a stack and a half of meat, I set out to look for a desert biome because I needed to find desert temples for TNT. On my way, I ran into a shipwreck with 13 iron and 8 lapis, which would both come in handy later on. After a few more minutes, I found a desert, and shortly after that, a desert temple and another village. There was also a lava pit, but it'd be a while before I'd make any use out of it. Since I could only face down, I had to go down the shaft 4 separate times to open the chest from above. I collected the TNT, then made my way over to the village, and saw that it had a blacksmith, so I opened up the chest and was surprised by how good it was. Now I was stacked, I just needed to find a couple more temples so that I had enough TNT for later. So, I kept running around until I finally found another one, and shortly after that, a third. Now I had 26 TNT and 22 iron, and I was nearly ready to go to the nether. So I ran over to the nearest lava pit and set up a smoker to cook all of my raw meat and cut down a couple of trees for some blocks. I wanted to save my diamonds for an enchantment table rather than a pickaxe, so I used buckets to build the frame of the nether portal. Building the bottom and sides was fairly straightforward, but the top was a problem. Because I needed a 2x3 gap for the portal to generate, I had to use some of my TNT to blow a hole through the center. And once I did, I lit the portal and went on through. In the nether, I found myself in some pretty harsh terrain, but I did see a nether fortress nearby, so I navigated my way through the basalt deltas to see if I could hop in. And once I did, I walked around the fortress looking for blazes. The first one I found was way out in the open, and the fire was extremely deadly, so I'd have to try to get one to walk on over or spawn in the actual fortress halls. But before that happened, a wither skeleton started chasing me, so I placed a boat down to trap it since there was no way I'd be able to kill it like this. Soon after, a pack of blazes spawned right around the corner, so I placed down a boat and waited for one to jump in. But instead of that happening, they broke it and started swarming me. I looked for a way out on the other end, but found a wither skeleton guarding the exit. I was trapped. I had no choice but to try to kill the blazes, so I placed down another boat, and this time I got him, but I still couldn't kill them because of the amount of damage they were inflicting whenever I tried to land a hit. And then, just as if things couldn't get any worse, when going for a hit, I accidentally broke the boat, setting the blazes free. They rushed me, and I had no other option but to make a run for it back from where I came. So I ate a golden apple and bolted. I managed to make it back to the starting point, and from there traversed back to the nether portal. If I was gonna kill blazes, it'd have to be in a better location. So I spent the next few days traveling far out into the world for a new place to build a portal. After what felt like a reasonable distance, I found a lava pit and threw up a new portal. And after going through, things were already looking great. The portal was inside of a warped forest biome, which was not only safe, but full of endermen. That'd make getting pearls super easy. I navigated my way across the biome until I found a new nether fortress, which already looked much safer than the last one. This time, the plan was to find a blaze spawner secluded somewhere safe and free from other mobs like wither skeletons. I found some nether wart, which I harvested so that I could brew some fire resistance potions later to help with killing the blazes. But in order to brew them, I needed to kill at least one blaze normally so that I could power my brewing stand. To provide extra protection from wither skeletons creeping up on me, I placed rows of dirt throughout the halls so that they didn't have a 3-block space to walk through. After a little while, I finally came across a blaze spawner, and it was enclosed too. This was it. I baited one of the blazes to creep towards me and got it trapped in a boat. I landed blow after blow with my diamond axe and killed it. And while it didn't drop a blaze rod, I knew that I'd be able to do it again. So I kept trying, even building a little hole with trapdoors so that I could land easier blows from above, but I was having a really hard time for some reason. I eventually encountered a single blaze that spawned somewhere else in the hallways, and fortunately killed it and got a blaze rod. And that was enough for me. Now it was time to brew these potions. So I retraced my steps back up to an area with basalt deltas and lured over a magma cube. A gas came out of nowhere and forced me to flee, so I tried again, this time succeeding and getting a piece of magma cream. But now I was low on food and blocks, so after getting back to the overworld, I spent some time slaughtering more animals and chopping down trees. Once I had enough, I smelted some sand into glass bottles and brewed 3 fire resistance potions. I then used some of the redstone I acquired earlier in the playthrough to extend them to 8 minutes each. But before going back to the nether, I needed to get more iron since my armor's durability was getting low, so I found a nice ravine and mined 14 iron scattered throughout the floor. After my iron was smelted and food cooked, I re-entered the nether, excited to finally get those blaze rods. Back at the fortress, I placed down torches on my way to the spawner to prevent skeletons from spawning, and after chugging a potion, I felt much safer. Sure, I almost died once or twice because of overconfidence, but I was able to kill enough blazes to get 6 rods by the time the first potion expired. I only needed a couple more to guarantee enough Eyes of Ender for the end portal. So I drank a second potion, grabbed a couple more rods, and got the heck out of there. The blazes damaged my armor quite a bit, so I went out to collect some more iron. The first cave I went into was absolutely massive and went all the way down to deep slate levels, but the upper portion didn't have much iron. The deeper one did, and although I did seriously consider going down there, I ultimately decided not to because it was way too risky. So I looked around until I found another cave, this time with a nice patch of iron guarded by a skeleton. I used a lava bucket to burn it to death and grabbed the iron. It still wasn't enough, so I kept looking around until I saw a village. Right then, I realized I could get iron by killing golems, so I used my lava bucket to burn some to death, and now I had enough iron for the rest of the playthrough. I crafted some new armor pieces and used the lapis that I got from that shipwreck earlier to enchant it with protection 1. Now I was ready to go get some pearls. Back in the nether, there were tons of endermen all throughout the warped forest, so I placed down some boats and jumped back and forth over the endermen, hitting them with my axe. Hitting them up in the air like this was safer, not only because I was protected from getting hit, but because I was protected from accidentally breaking my boat and getting chased down. And all in all, acquiring pearls this way went very smoothly. There was one moment where I somehow aggravated an enderman, but I got lucky and caught him in one of my boats. I farmed this way until I had 15 pearls, then went back to the overworld. Now I just needed to acquire a few more things before I was ready to go to the stronghold. While running over to a village to trade for a bow, I conveniently ran by a dungeon exposed to the surface. It had a spider spawner and some string, so that took care of my bow problem. I also gathered some more oak wood from the village houses since I need a lot of it in order to pillar up high above the end crystals. I killed some chickens for feathers and mined gravel for flint to craft a couple dozen arrows that I'd use to take out the crystals from above. Now I was ready to find the stronghold, but due to my restricted vision, I couldn't triangulate it as I did in my last couple of videos, so I had to find it the old-fashioned way by following the eyes. Fortunately, I ran into a snowy plains biome with frozen rivers, so I was able to shoot across the world super fast with my boat. And before I knew it, I was right about there, so I started mining down. And without any trouble, I broke right into the stronghold. I took a brief look around and saw that I couldn't go anywhere, so I blew open one of the iron doors with a piece of TNT. Now I had even more options, but before I continued on, I realized that I had a bunch of gunpowder in my inventory that I could turn into TNT with sand. So I took a quick trip back up to the surface for some and crafted 7 more pieces. I also cut down even more wood while I was up there, just to be sure that I'd have enough. Back in the stronghold, I saw through one of the doors that there was a cave intersecting part of the structure, which I could use to navigate around. So I blew open the door and took a look around, but all I found was a library, so I went back and blew up another door. This led to another staircase with another door. I then realized that I could use buttons instead of TNT, so I plopped one down and went on through. And at the bottom of the staircase lay the portal room. I put in the eyes and jumped in. I got a good spawn and was able to pillar up several blocks high to hop onto the main island. I placed a bunch of water all over the place to protect myself from dying from fall damage in case the dragon threw me up into the air. I then started pillaring up to take out the crystals. Once I was around 15 blocks above each crystal, I shot them with my bow to destroy them. I was getting knocked around a bit, but I was fairly safe thanks to all the water everywhere. After taking out all the crystals, it was time to slay the dragon. So I placed a block of TNT on top of the end portal and waited for the dragon to perch. Just as it was about to, I activated the TNT and ran away. It only did a little bit of damage at a time, but it was the only way to hurt the dragon safely, and I had plenty of TNT to get it done. The dragon was most hostile after each perch, and I was getting thrown up in the air a bunch, but I continued on and was making decent progress. However, right up towards the end, I started getting close calls, and then... After being so unbelievably close to dying, I knew that I had to kill the dragon fast. So after 2 more pieces of TNT, this happened.